Are you looking for better health but feel a little overwhelmed with it all, thinking there might be something missing? Maybe you're looking for action steps to take that get to the real root of the issue and actually move the needle in your health. Here on the Cornerstone Integrative Healing Podcast, we will share the link between our physical, emotional, and spiritual health, all while pointing you to the one and only true healer, Jesus. I'm Kari, Coody, your co-host. As a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner, I spent 20 years in the traditional healthcare world, and it was definitely long enough to know there's a huge need for preventative healthcare and holistic healing. I'm excited to have conversations around these topics with my co-host and friend, Jenn.
Hey, I'm Jenn Patriarca. God gave me this desire to help others with natural healing a long time ago. With more than 20 years of experience in the functional nutrition field, God decided it was time to join forces. Kari and I are colleagues turned faithful partners in this mission God has put on our hearts. A mission for true healing, one that encompasses an integrative approach. With Jesus taking the lead, our aim is to point you toward Him as we help you peel back the layers. Through conversations, you can expect straightforward information on holistic health topics that include physical, emotional, and spiritual action steps that will create real change in your health, and honest conversations around the ups and downs that can come with healing. It's time to have joy in your life again and the energy to do all that God has called you to. Be sure to subscribe for new episodes every Monday.
Welcome back to the Cornerstone Integrative Healing Podcast. My name's Kari. I'm your co-host. I'm here with my other half, Jenn. And we are just coming off of a really fun series we did called Stories of Healing. And so we like to kind of do things in series here just because it's good to refer back to and just kind of talk about a particular topic in maybe different ways in different episodes. So, in keeping with that theme, we're going to start a brand new series today all about our healing modalities that we use at Cornerstone. And this is something that we kind of been thinking about for a while. I really am excited to dive into some of these things because we get questions from people that are looking to work with us often, just kind of around like, how are you guys different than other people? And I totally get that because there are so many more people in this space now, and that's not a bad thing at all. However, I think it's just like a conventional doctor. I think you should vet those people as well, right? You want to make sure that the way that they go about healing or the way that they go about, what you're asking them to do aligns with what you're looking for. And I think that's extremely important. And so that's kind of the reasoning why behind that we wanted to do this series. And I'm excited to talk about some of these things because it might be something that may be new to you that you've heard about but don't really know a lot about. It might be something, a topic like nutrition that is so over encompassing, right? It's just like, I just had somebody message me this morning and say, I'm literally so confused. I have no idea what to do with my diet. And so I think it's really important to talk about these things so that it is a good fit if you do choose to work with us.
Yes. Yeah. There's so many, not so many, information avenues on this topic, but I think it's information overload. And sometimes you're getting, different views from different people. Someone says that it's okay. Another practitioner may say it's not. And so we just want to talk about what we use in practice. Does it resonate with, your paradigm, your ideals? Does it make sense to you? Maybe you've never heard about some of these things before. And so, you're hearing them for the first time and you want to research more. So we kind of want to give you just a little bit of an overview today of all the topics, and Kari, jump in. But, we really start with the foundational stuff, blood sugar management. We talk about food sensitivities. We talk about movement and circadian rhythm, daily walks, getting morning light, and doing less. Those are, I think, foundational for us, as well as some of the stress management and emotional tools. You'll hear us talk about emotion code. You'll hear us talk about heart math, tapping. Those are all tools we utilize within the practice to support the whole person. But those are the foundational things. So we're going to take an episode for each of those and kind of dive in deeper into each of
Mhm.
those. And then supplements. Obviously, that's another huge modality that we do
Yeah.
use, how we use them. And we'll talk a little bit about muscle testing in that episode. There's lots of questions around muscle testing, how it's done, what it's for. And then we want to talk about just the other modality, or sorry, the other testing that we do. So we look at blood labs. Of course, we don't diagnose. We just look for patterns and deficiencies. And then HTMA, which is hair tissue mineral analysis or hair analysis. And then lastly, which I think is probably the biggest piece, and was really transformational for me, was spiritual identity, which I think the root, a lot of our emotional and our physical symptoms come from our false identity, right? And so just getting connected and lined up with what our true identity is in Christ can be massively transforming for your health.
Yes, because I found myself continuing to ask why so often in my own journey. And then also with clients, like, so many people are just burnt out and stressed and run down when they come to see us. And you just have to keep digging and asking why. And a lot of it, I would say the majority of it, does really link back to some kind of spiritual issue, or it definitely, a part of it can be linked to that. And that's really what we're operating from, right? We're thinking about what is our operating system, and where is it faulty, and how can we fix that so that we do live and operate, and our body, kind of operates the way that we want it to from that right place. And so that's kind of the lens, I guess, that we sort of look through, which could be also said, we want to get to the root of the issue. That's definitely something that you'll hear us talk about. And I think there are roots to an issue, and there's the true root to an issue. And you can chase physical roots all day long. However, if you only do that, then you're probably not going to get to the actual true root of your issue. It's what God has shown us. Personally,
Amen.
right? Both of us have definitely seen that. And then with clients, there have been huge aha moments, and just really big transformations because of that. And so, that is our goal here. We want to point you to Him. He is the only true healer there is, and He's the only firm foundation that we have. And so, obviously, some of the things that we'll talk about, you can definitely see a direct link to that. Others, maybe not. However, I think it all goes together. And that's kind of why we want to discuss each one of these, because I think you can use each one and it's beneficial. However, if you leave out that spiritual piece, that's really when I think, you don't get to the true root. You might have seen on our website, or us sort of talking about this one verse that has really, it stuck out to me for a while. And it's just something that we kind of go back to as far as just a guiding verse. I guess that might be a good way to say it. It's Hebrews 12:1. And it says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith." And that thought of throwing off everything that hinders, right? That's kind of the lens that we look at, because there are so many things that can hinder us from running the race that God wants us to run. And that's really why we want to help you pursue better health, so that you can run the race that God has for you. Because, when we get to heaven, that's what's going to matter. Did we do what God asked us to do in this life? Not did we have great, perfect health, or did we have, all of these things, right? There's so many things you could fit in that box. And so we want to help you pursue health so that you can run your race and pursue whatever God's called you to do in the best way possible. And so what is a weight? Like it's really anything that keeps you from being more like Christ. And that there could be obviously a lot of different things in that category, but we we look at certain things, right, from our viewpoint, but we always encourage you to seek the Lord on this as well. And just to, search your thoughts and search your heart and just, we want to encourage you to ask God to show you what is tripping you up, right? I think that is just such a key part. Go ahead, Jen. Did
Yeah.
you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think sometimes God uses these physical things to get our attention, right?
Yeah.
So people are coming to us with these physical symptoms, right? But really, I think and this has been my experience, is that I think God uses some of these things in our lives, whether they're Hashimoto's or Lyme or you name it, to really get our attention to what is God calling us to? Like, what is our race? Some of us aren't even in the race. And so in order to get our attention and get in the race, God uses some of these weights, if you will.
Yeah.
And those are physical things, the fatigue, the overwhelm,
Right.
or you fill in the blank with the condition. And I think the Lord really, now that's not to say that if you have these, you aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing. I think sometimes God uses these, right, as trials, 100%. But I also think for me personally, I can tell you from my journey it was really a way. I wasn't running the race that God was calling to, he was calling me to.
Yeah.
And it wasn't till I was ready to do what he was calling me to that things sort of fell into place physically, emotionally.
Yeah. We're running a race. I think it's the race that the world has laid out for us, right?
True. Yeah, right.
We're
what
running.
race are you running? Good
Right.
point.
No, I mean, completely. And it's like, sometimes we don't even know. Like, we think we're running the race that God wants us to run. But I mean,
Right.
so often, like I know you were, so many times we look back and think, I was running a race, but it was one that I had planned out. And then I was asking God to bless. That is exactly what I was doing.
And it was for our glory, not his.
Yes, right. That doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
That just doesn't work. So maybe it's the fact that, it's just that awareness piece is what has to come first. Obviously, some people already realize that and have kind of started the change to like running his race. Other people don't even know they're not running that race. They think they are. So, that's why, again, we'll talk about this in these episodes, is everybody is so individualized. You literally can't put anyone in the same box as another person. And
Right.
so that's why it's so important for us to really pray, obviously, before we meet with clients, while we're kind of looking to see what plan we're going to come up with clients, and, encourage them to pray about things like that. Like, Christ is our God, and he knows our heart first and foremost. And so he's going to be the absolute best person to guide both us and the client that we're working with. But just this idea of how many times we're not running the race we're supposed to. And then also, even if we are, we have these heavy weights, right? If you think about a backpack, I've been thinking a lot about this because I'm going on a really long hike and I've been wearing this backpack and I've been thinking a lot about this. Okay. I got a lot I could say about it. However, I just think we don't even realize we're carrying these weights. B, we just think we have to carry the weights. We get used to carrying the weights. And guys, the weights are what weigh us down and wear us out. Like, I am so much more worn out after an hour walk with weights versus without. It is like night and day. And I don't know, something just clicked like with this concept a couple of weeks ago when I did start wearing the backpack with the weights. I was like, holy cow, people are walking around with these things on all the time and not realizing that A, they don't have to, and B, how heavy they are. And it's like, we can do all the physical things to help support your body to carry that weight. But if you're still carrying the weight, you're still going to be worn out.
Right.
And we don't want you to. Like, that's the gospel. That's why Jesus sent his son to die on the cross for us. So he already took the weights. And sometimes it's like, we know that in our head, but we haven't necessarily, it hasn't went to our heart. And so we're still carrying the weights. We might have put them down, but we picked them back up. And so, I just think it's sometimes it's such a process to really get rid of all those weights. And again, we're not going to experience true full health until we're on the other side, right? I mean, like,
No.
right. We live in a fallen world and we definitely understand that. However, we do have a race to run and we do have people that are counting on us to run that race, right? We're the plan A. There is no plan B. So this is something that we take seriously and we want to help you with whatever those weights might be for you because we want to put aside things that are going to trip you up. And
Yeah. And to strengthen you for the right race, right?
right.
Like God might not strengthen you until you are running the right race.
Yeah.
And so sometimes for us, it's easy for us to see because it's easy to see from the
Yeah.
outside. It's not as easy to see from the inside out. And so sometimes it's clear as day for us to see,
Mm-hmm.
what is tripping people up
So true.
emotionally, spiritually, and it's creating physical issues. So, just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Obviously both of our passions, we have a deep passion for physical health, but also emotional and spiritual. And we really want to help to strengthen you run the right race, just to remind you why you are running the race too.
Yes, for
And for
sure.
who?
Because it just brought up something that God really showed me. I don't know how long ago it was. I think it was toward the end of last year, but the fact that He has put this physical health as like this is my mission field. Like I just know it, and I'm sure Jenn feels the same way. Like we are called to this. However, if we're not careful, if we're not putting Him first, we can build like a whole shrine of physical health, right? That we think is going to be what He wants us to do. We can put too much emphasis, is basically what I'm saying, on physical health, and we can
Sure.
make it an idol.
Absolutely.
It's very
Right.
easy to make physical health an idol because we feel like we're doing it, just we feel like we're doing it for the right reasons, and some of them might be, but you cannot make idols out of anything, right? We're only called to have one God. So I think that's just something that's super important to make, if all of this is resonating, then the person that you are wanting to work with to help you with your health, it is imperative that they feel the same way, or else they're just going to encourage you to make physical health an idol. And I don't mean that in a negative way towards anybody, right? We're all on our own journey. And I'm sure that, the way other practitioners do things is going to be beneficial for some people. But I just know that this is what God has shown us, and it's a huge problem, I think, in this industry. And I want to talk more about it because I think it's something that we can easily get roped into. I know that I did for years. And I just pray that God opens our eyes to see things for what they are. And sometimes it takes somebody else telling you, or sometimes it just takes reminding, paying attention to these things, and really realizing that, wow, I am doing this, and I need to. We need to repent from that and go the opposite direction, is what the word tells us to do. So,
Right. And we want to provide a safe space for
yeah,
people to heal. We don't just want to, change some lifestyles, give you some supplement,
yeah,
give you some supplements and kind of send you on your way. We
mhm,
want to be with you in it. We
yeah,
want to care. And, I think sometimes just caring is more important than the advice that we have to give you.
yes, yes. We've yeah. There's so much to that because sometimes it feels like you're not seen, you're not heard. Maybe you feel like you're going crazy with some different, health related things. And yeah, we want to walk the journey with you. We want you to know that we see you and we care. And yeah, there are so many levels to this. And sometimes that can seem super overwhelming. And, that is why we want to walk with you versus just, giving you a 3 or 6 month plan and saying, good luck, this is my best advice for what you should do to help what's going on.
And we want to
Yeah.
teach you, right? Like
Right.
we don't want you to always have to use us or come to us. We want to teach you. How can you support your family, your husband, your kids? How
Hmm.
can you teach other people who might be interested? There are so many people that need this work. Um,
Yes.
and we really want to empower people
Hmm.
to do the work, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not rocket science, and I'm not downplaying anybody's condition or anything like that,
Yeah.
but um, we really want to just empower people, be there for people, care for people, walk with people,
Yeah.
and obviously, you know, give you some advice along the way too about things that we found that work.
Yeah.
But more importantly, our intent really is just to point you back to him because he is the ultimate. And, I think for a lot of our clients that we see, I think as we work with them, as we strengthen the physical, I think the emotional and the spiritual open up. A lot of times we can't connect or we can't pray the way we want to, or we can't be there for or love the way we want to because physically we don't feel good. And
Yeah.
so sometimes it just does it take a little tweaking of the physical to open up emotional and spiritual changes. And so they're all connected too,
Yeah.
right? And so just wanted to point that out that sometimes it does take starting with the physical to get you, to a point where you can, use the emotional and the spiritual to run faster.
Yeah. Yeah. Just as we close, I've just seen too how much people they just need somebody to hold a little space for them, right?
Yeah,
We're all just kind of trying to make it to some degree, especially if you're really struggling and you just are super overwhelmed and you just need somebody to be there, to just hold a little bit of space for you and just to help you kind of regulate, if that makes sense. And the more that we are strengthened, the more that we can do that for other people. And this world is just crying out for that. And so overwhelmed and confused and run down and all the things. And so I think that's part of running the race. Is you do want to be there for other people, and so we want to help you be strengthened so that you can do that. So that then it's a ripple effect. Then they can do that for other people, and that's how we spread his light and love. Is that we're there for people when they need us. But if we are constantly run down and overwhelmed and all the things, we really can't do that very effectively. So I think that's a big part of this work as well. And that's kind of where our heart is, behind what we do. We're excited to share some of these, kind of dig in deeper to them, just so that, you can, even if you never end up working with us, that you can take some of these things and really pray about them and implement them into your life, and share them with
sure.
others, right? That's our hope
Sure.
and our goal. So,
Yeah,
um,
even if doing something as simple as, if it's not a good time to work with us, get on our website at cornerstoneintegrativehealing.com, take the quiz. We
yeah,
really break down a couple things that, for a lot of people could be causing some fatigue and overwhelm, whether it's related to adrenal or thyroid or maybe detoxification. Take the quiz and there's some pointers at the end of those as
mhm,
to what direction you might be headed and just a few simple solutions that could be a really big start, even though they're simple for you.
yeah. So perfect. We are doing a challenge at the beginning of October, which is going to be soon after this is released. So we're going to put information about that in the show notes in the description of this video if you guys want to join us. But make sure you're on our mailing list. We'll have the link to join that in the show notes as well. And we're excited about this series. We hope you are too. We'd love to connect with you on Instagram too. If you want to chat with us over there, that's always a fun way to connect with us. And yeah, we'll see you on the next step. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to mention the YouTube lives too. We'll do a couple YouTube lives for the challenge. So we'll, if you're not on the mailing list, we'll definitely post those on Insta, of course. But join us. We'd love to have you.
All right, guys. See you on the next episode.